What's up, guys? Eric here from MajorLeagueTrading.com, and in tonight's free video, I just have one question here. Is Nasdaq going to new all-time highs here? We're like 18 points away from them at the moment from 408 here in the Qs. Currently printing like 391s here. So the question becomes, and this was asked in the Discord today, is like, is that where we're headed right now? Is it possible that we can get there without seeing any sort of pullback or anything like that? And while yes, anything in this market is certainly possible, I think it's more or less what is more probable here, and that's kind of what I want to address here tonight. So, and then also maybe how to play it in a couple ideas here. So for me, on the day, overall a pretty decent day, not from any day trades, but just from the swing trade in which we've had on from PANW. We'll take a look at that. But with respect to the Nasdaq here, we've had a pretty impressive run, over the past couple of weeks here, all the way up here to 391s, right, where we're currently trading at. And the thing is, like, can we run another 9 points here? I mean, yeah, realistically, like you look, these bars start off with a range of 22.5 points. Then from there, we go to 11 points. From there, we go to 12 points. Last week here, obviously, holiday week, all of those things, 7-point range. And then so far this week, it's been a 3-point range. So it's been rather quiet so far. And you can see that, just on the daily chart here, we're starting to kind of consolidate. So for me, what I think is more likely a scenario here is that we'll try and push up to get last week's highs here. And then from there, that'll be ultimately, kind of what starts a pullback for us, right? So when you look in the past, we've definitely had, extended moves like this. I mean, this was essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks straight up. So we're only, kind of 4 weeks into what could be maybe 8 weeks here. Most of them are, this one's 3 weeks. This one ends up being 4 weeks to the upside. But there definitely are times where we can get those type of 8-bar weekly moves that get extended to the upside, right? And so by that regards, we could certainly go see $400 this week, right? If we get another 10-point range out of these markets, or 12-point range out of these markets this week, we could definitely be there, right? I think what's more likely is, like I said, that break of highs and then a pullback. And from there, that's more likely going to be the long opportunity, I think, for me, from a swing perspective, and then being able to say, hey, once that pullback holds, now we look good for that run, all the way up here into, $408, the new all-time highs, right? And that picture is totally different, when you look across the board at the different indices, right? So that's why I'm not necessarily saying, like, I'm not super gung-ho right here about, hey, new all-time highs are coming, right? Because when we look across the board at the other markets, they don't necessarily support that. And the other thing, too, is, like, a normal market probably would have pulled back by now, like a normal, just, everyday type of market, not some crazy extended move like we've seen. And with that, in last night's video, we were talking about, hey, if this market can break down, i.e. give us a pullback, what are the names in which we want to trade? And one of those being Tesla, which we'll take a look at here. I've now flipped my idea on this because the charts have given us something else. We've been waiting for something to happen, hasn't happened, and the charts are now giving us something else. And that's kind of, I say that to say that's kind of where we're at here with the indices as well. So, we've got the Qs there super strong, obviously getting close to all-time highs. The SPY, yes, but it still hadn't quite broken. And then we go to the IWM here, and the IWM is like, I mean, yeah, it's rallied, but it really hasn't rallied. I mean, it should, in comparison to the Qs, this thing should be up at like $200 or more, right? But it's just not. So that's kind of standing out to me as something. And then the Dow here was stronger today. So far this week, it's been a stronger market. But it still also hasn't quite cleared, up through these prior highs just yet. So we kind of have maybe a scenario where Russell on this next pullback actually breaks down and starts, getting back in that fresh downtrend and wanting to push lows. And then that pullback ultimately maybe ends up being something where the Nasdaq then wants to go higher here. So I do like the Nasdaq from that standpoint. It's just the fact that we don't have all of these other markets in our favor. And we haven't had that yet, and that's why I've been waiting and looking for that pullback. And unfortunately, we just are unable to get that, and unable to really get a breakdown in the names that we've been looking at. So we've just continued to stay long things like PANW. So we took profits on this one today. We were holding this from down around 260. We were able to get this up towards 273s today. And then ultimately I ended up cutting the position, and then it continues to rip a little bit more on the day, which was really nice of it. But yeah, so PANW, this was the swing trade long from last week here. Beautiful looking weekly chart breakout here. ZS also looking rather good here today. This was one of those ones where earnings got the gap down and then ultimately managed to rally this back. You can see down here on this daily chart. I wrote this up in the morning right up here. I just thought the options were a little bit more expensive than I wanted them to be today, so I passed on this. But it did ultimately turn from red to green on the day. You can see closing up 1.01% on the day. And then the big mover here is Tesla. So Tesla, we've been waiting for under 231.50s here. And if we switch this up to like a 2-minute chart, you can just kind of see where that level's at down here. That's ultimately where I was waiting for us to be able to get down under in order to take some short positions. And you can see we've tested it a couple different times down in here, almost rather to the tick, really. All the way back, over the last 5 days or so, it's tested it once, twice. And I thought today was going to be the third time and ultimately see it, get down under that level. But it doesn't do that, right? We rally back, and now this daily chart looks like, hey, this might want to actually, get a clean breakout here. So my next level above, bigger picture, is going to be 264.48 in here. So depending on where this opens tomorrow, how it can react from the opening trend, what the overall markets are doing at that time. Tesla has ultimately moved itself somehow from yesterday in my top short watch, given the relative weakness it had, to now at the moment, given the move it had today, my top long watch. So we'll see. If it gaps too far, then obviously there's nothing we can do. But at the moment, this is looking to be the best looking chart for longs at the moment. So anyways, that's what I've got for tonight's free video. Hope that helps. Please let me know in the comments down below. Are you guys thinking we get new all-time highs this year or in 2024? Or are we about to reverse and make a move back down towards lows, which, again, anything in this market can happen. So, yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.